Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of our Sacred Hoops podcast. This week, just trying to bring as many opportunities for kids and parents as possible as we're leading up to the start of the high school basketball season. And one of the topics that comes up a lot when we talk to our athletes and parents is the whole idea of strength training and athletic enhancement. So as we started to ponder that and how we could bring really good information to you, one name just kept popping up in my head, Mr. Paul Keizer from Orthopedic Institute Performance. And the reason why it does is many of the athletes that I worked with over the last 4 to 5 years are better high school players, especially around the Sioux Falls area. When I ask them, who are you working with on the strength end of things or the athletic enhancement end of things, it seemed like the same name kept popping up over and over and over. And so as I've got to know a little bit more about what Paul does over there and how he does what he does with the kids and the athletes, I just have an immense amount of respect. And so I'm really excited today. I know all of us here at Sacred Hoops are very excited to have Mr. Paul Keizer from Orthopedic Institute. So from Jordan and Sam here, Paul, welcome to our podcast this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
One of the things that we want to talk about, and I know Sam and Jordan will bounce on with some questions as well, but I really wanted to talk about with 2 months leading up to the season, I really wanted to discuss the importance of the strength training aspect of it. I know right now you are doing a lot with athletes leading up to the start of the season here in the fall, and we'll talk a lot towards the end of the podcast about all the different opportunities that are out there as well for adults and young people within your organization. But I would like to just pick your brain a little bit today on some of your thoughts. The importance of strength training, first of all, number one. And then to kind of follow it up, maybe some helpful tidbits or tips for a basketball-specific training regimen that you would recommend for the preseason. So picking your brain a little bit here, but the importance of strength training for athletes.
Absolutely. So strength training is just going to be one of the avenues that, or one of the things that you need to put in place to enhance your performance and also reduce your likelihood of injury, which are the two goals of why you want to do your preseason training. So when you talk about improving performance of a basketball athlete, I guess what do you guys kind of think about? Increasing jump height, agility, speed. For a basketball athlete.
All those things. I mean, hip strength, being able to lateral movement is a big one. Lateral movement into vertical movement. Being able to go from going side to side to going straight up and down, I think is a big one for me.
And one thing I always think about with basketball movement, because to encompass all those things, is just flat out explosiveness. Everything you do from side to side to change of direction to transitioning with your sprint work to getting off the ground, it all involves the more explosive you are, the more dynamic of an athlete you're going to be.
Yeah. So absolutely. So, and what you guys described is power output. Okay, and so power output is strictly just the amount of force that you can put into the ground, and over the smallest period of time possible. Okay, so and force is a direct result of strength training. Okay, so that's why strength training for a basketball athlete is immensely important, okay? And, because I get questions all the time, shouldn't a basketball player just be doing box jumps and plyometrics and things like that? Yeah. And I coached at the college level too, where, strength training isn't always what a basketball athlete wants to do, but very important, because that force part of it is, if we can increase that, okay, and then use the plyometrics and box jumps and things like that to decrease the time that it takes you to apply that force, we have a pretty good performance enhancement.
Right, and then going back into injury prevention, like you said, if you can't agree on anything, you can for sure agree on the fact that nobody wants to get injured.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing people need to think about moving forward too.
Yeah.
So Paul, if I'm an athlete, maybe I don't have access to Sioux Falls. Maybe I'm not within a 35-mile radius of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And I'm calling you up on the phone as a parent, and one of my questions, hey, I got a sophomore son here that really needs to get stronger, needs to get more explosive, but hey, we maybe live on the farm 30 miles from out of town, so we can only get in town maybe 3 days a week where we can lift, and when we do lift, maybe we only have a small window of time we can. So my question would be, in your mind, what are 3 or 4 of the most important lifts or functions that an athlete could do to help their performance if they were limited on time and all that?
Yeah. So that there's three things when I talk to parents or coaches that you need to cover. Okay, and first thing is be specific. Okay, with what you're doing. Okay, and specific to the sport of basketball, but really just to become a better basketball or change in direction athlete altogether, because it applies to football and things like that. Yeah. But, first of all, when you think of basketball, you think of, first of all, energy systems, okay? So, a basketball athlete has to be able to sprint. They have to be able to endure the longevity of a game and repeatedly jump, sprint, So first and foremost, I guess I would say that you need to do, the conditioning piece, the jumping piece. You need to do the strength training. You need to do repeatedly, but you also need to be strong, okay? And then getting into the movements, which is also specific to the sport of basketball, is squatting, okay? I'm big onto the Olympic movements, the power cleans and things like that, and teaching kids how to do it. Being able to transfer that stuff to a single leg and maybe a single leg squat, and then ultimately trying to keep them in balance for the injury prevention part of it, maybe doing some of the deadlifts and things like that.
So parents, those of you who ask, we're talking about squats, we're talking about cleans, one-legged squats, and deadlifting. So a lot of your power lifts, really you're looking at lower body, core strength, really important that you have. One of the things that you touched on that I think was really interesting as you said it, because I understand it, but I think most people don't get it, is the importance of training the movements that you're going to emulate when you play. Right. So many times I think athletes get in and maybe all they do is just lift or whatever, but they're not actually training the actual movements in a likelihood that you're going to actually have to perform when you get on the field.
Right. Absolutely. And so when you think about, and it kind of comes back to the specific, and we'll talk about like how to progress and maybe overload some of those exercises, but but the specificity of the movement, okay, everything that I just listed there are multi-joint movements, meaning that we don't train one muscle group. There's not going to be any benefit for a young man to go in and do some bicep curls. They're going to look great in their jersey, but if we want to jump higher, we want to run faster, we need to do those multi-joint movements. We're working multiple muscle groups, and hopefully, tie those into those performance measures. So
have a purpose when you enter the weight room.
Purpose.
Think about what you're working on, what you're trying to accomplish. Don't just go in and, I've done it before too. Just do a bunch of bicep curls and get on the bench.
You can tell, Sam.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Get on the bench and hammer it out. You know what I mean? Think about how the certain lift can help you and really what you're trying to accomplish, because otherwise you're kind of just wasting time.
So I'm sure that's part of what you do with your programming as well. There is not just provide the workout, but also the teaching of the importance of each actual act that's going to take place. And obviously with anything, when it comes to lifting and performance-based instruction, safety is a huge concern with them doing it in a proper way.
Absolutely. And so, and this could be a conversation that would go on for a long time. We talk about how to move, but there was actually a research article a while back about a guy that he was a part of the functional movement screen and actually just had his athletes come in and they tested the vertical jump, and then he taught them the actual proper way to do it. Okay. And they actually improved their jump height within like 30 seconds. Okay. So now, and it wasn't drastic, but it was still, and then if anyone knows anything about the functional movement screen, it's also the same movement patterns that are keeping our kids healthy. Okay, so the crazy part is we know what muscles we need to activate. We know how to keep kids safe, okay, while doing it, and so it's just trying to educate those kids how to change those muscle patterns, and so our movement patterns. So when you think about it, we need kids to sit back. We need to be able to feel that they actually are increasing their the strength in their glutes and their butt and keeping their knees right above their feet, things like that, where they can activate the proper muscles, and we're going to actually I mean, before you know it, you're going to improve your performance. You're going to stay safe and eliminate some of those unnecessary injuries.
Piggybacking off of that a little bit, one question I get quite a bit is what age is appropriate to start too? I mean, when exactly should we be doing this?
That's a tough one to answer.
I ask the tough questions, Paul.
It's here's the thing: is I've trained kids that were 9 years old before, 8, 9 years old, and I still train them today, and they're 15, 16. Sure. I've also trained kids that are 8 and 9 years old, and they have they don't really want to do it anymore. They're kind of burnt out, and I know that's getting into a separate conversation.
Yeah. No, but it makes perfect sense.
But the younger the age, the easier I can manipulate their movement patterns.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. So teaching them how to do it the right way.
Teaching them how to do it the right way, and they can see those benefits. When they get into their teen years. Yep. So.
Well, the discussion really it encourages me, because one of the questions, I just got a question the other day, and I don't want people thinking this is coming from me, but the 6'5" white guy with a 26-inch vertical, and he's 45 years of age. There's hope for him, right?
No, there's not. Be honest, Paul.
Oh, come on, Paul. Come on, Paul. You got
There's always hope.
Okay,
There's always
good.
Hope. Yeah.
It'll make him feel
the window.
It's going to make
the window is getting.
It's going to make him feel a lot better, Paul. Let me tell you.
Paul, yeah.
26 is being pretty generous.
Oh, jeez.
26 does seem high.
That was the last time I tested it. Or the guy tested it. I'm sorry. Well, I do want to talk a little bit too, and we're going to bounce a little bit here. But I was in your facility a few weeks ago, and it was really the first time I've been in your guys' facility. So it was interesting to see the layout of it and all that you offer. And it was it's brand new. I mean, it's very, very new, and so it looks really cool in there. But for the space you have, it was really well designed with the turf and the areas for strength training and just the very specific things that you guys can do there. So we'll get back to that, but I just thinking about a really cool location where you guys are at. And when I was there, heck, I think this was in the middle of the afternoon, you guys were working out a group of like 10, 12, 30 to 45-year-old guys and girls, and so kind of a well-rounded approach, not just younger athletes, but also adults if they want to, stay in shape or improve their performance levels. I want to talk a little bit about the facility, number one, all the things that you guys offer there, and then we'll talk a little bit about all the different opportunities that are out there at the Orthopedic Institute Performance.
Yeah. So we're located on 69th and Southeastern Avenue. We're in kind of a similar building with Great Life and Sioux Falls Storm and the Orthopedic Institute all have a space in there. But we are owned by the Orthopedic Institute. So we have a facility that has 60 yards of field turf in it. We also, we have a weight room where we have about 5 racks in there, some treadmills and things like that. But we get to, and this is the part that I love about my job is I get to train. I train a 8-year-old, 8-year-old, and I get to train a 62-year-old, and so all day long we open the doors about 4:30 a.m. and we train adults all day long up till the kids get out of school, and then we get to go into the evening, but we get to help all of them reach their goals, and it's pretty cool. We 2 years ago when we opened. I trained probably a handful of adults, and now, we train about 120 right now, and it's actually grown to be a pretty significant clientele there where we run boot camps and strength classes. We have the adult that wants to come in and continuously work, but yet we have the adult that also wants to come and move some weight, So we try to accommodate all. Then we train at night. We train a lot of junior aged and varsity aged kids, and then also the rookie ages. In their specific groups. Just depending on, and we kind of plug them in where we see their movement patterns are at and whatnot. So, but anyway, we get to train a large variety, and I can't forget that we train the beginner all the way up to the professional. We the first kid or the kid that first takes a step in the weight room to the Stampede to the Sioux Falls Storm. I get to train in there, and then we do a lot of combine prep for professional.
That's
athletes.
awesome.
So if I'm one of the things, stepping back, I've got 3 kids. I've got a son and 2 daughters, and I know the difference between a male athlete and a female athlete and their body specifics as far as what they need. But if you were a parent of we all know that the knee injury situation with female athletes is much more prevalent. A lot of studies being done right now on the genetic makeup and all those type of things. Can you touch base a little bit about some of the things you're doing for our female athletes in regards to strength training and also in correlation with maybe prevention of ACL tears and things like that?
Yeah. So we, back when I kind of referred to the change in direction athlete, we actually kind of go with a similar philosophy on males and females as far as how we train movement patterns. We want it to kind of all look the same. Are they going to be the same? No, they're not. But we aim for that. And when I talk about having the knee above the foot, I want our males to do that, and I also want our females to do it. The differences come in is how quickly they can get it. 1, 2. How strong they are at that current state, and then I guess lastly, it'd just be kind of some factors that are out of our hands. Typically a female is going to have weaker hamstrings than a male, and there's nothing I can do about that except for, or there's nothing we can do about that initially, but we can address that as they come in and train.
And just like anything else, tailored to the specific athlete.
That's right. Yeah. So
okay, so going back 2 months to go till the season starts.
Yep.
All right. What do you think are the most important things right now to all parents? Now, you have them on the camera, so all of our athletes that are watching right now, parents that are watching, suggestions for them to help get them ready for the start of the season, strength-wise and athletic performance-wise.
Yep. So we already touched on the specificity of training, okay, and just being specific. I think the second thing is, and it kind of goes with that, is be progressive, okay? And we talk about the important lifts, okay? Squatting is important, okay, and is difficult in itself, okay, especially when you initially start out, okay? But be progressive. You don't, there's a lot of ankle sprains in basketball, okay? You don't have to put them up on a BOSU ball and squat them, okay? I mean, teach them how to squat first, and teach them how to push with 2 legs before they even learn to push with one leg, and so I think if I could answer one specific thing is be basic, okay? Do it right, okay? And do it well. Teach them how to squat. Teach them how to address their hamstring strength properly through deadlifts and things like that, and build up a great foundation. Similar to it's no different than basketball.
We talk about that all the time. Build the foundation, absolutely.
Be basic. So
one of the last things I want to cover today is the importance, or trying to create or get rid of the stigma or myth of the importance of strength training during the season. So your thoughts on it, to the coaches that are out there that watch this, what advice would you give to the average high school basketball coach in regards to strength training during the actual season?
So it kind of goes back. We're human, okay, and we're getting better, we're getting worse, okay, and as if you build up all this strength preseason, okay, and the fact is if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, okay, and so you're going to go back, you will go backwards on your strength if you don't maintain, meaning that your performance is going to drop, and also you're going to increase your chances of injury, okay, and so however you they talk a lot about it affecting your shot. Well, not if you're continually practicing. If you're putting in the time, there's not going to be a change in your shot or anything like that. I just an in-season program could we talk to our kids about coming in once or twice a week, okay? Yep. And let's do the basic lifts that we did, and let's maintain where you're at.
In season,
maintain is the right word.
in season, Paul, would it be a little bit lighter weights, more reps? Would it be maintain what they've normally been doing? What would you suggest?
I would maintain what they have been doing, okay? And that's the third principle, okay, that I was going to talk about is just overloading, okay? So we to get better, okay, you naturally have to overload your body and build it back up. Our bodies are smart. Basically when strength training, what we're doing is we're just changing the natural state of, are we basically overriding what we're, how we currently are, to the body just gives them basically say, hey, you're not going to break me down again. Okay. Therefore I'm going to build it back and get stronger. I'm going to build muscle. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, if during the preseason you want to you want to overload, not overtrain, overload. Okay. And during the season, you don't want to overload, but you want to basically continue what you have been doing. And what I typically do is I'd still keep the reps down, okay, but and push a heavier weight, but it may not just be at it will be submaximal. Meaning, if someone could normally push 100 pounds for for 3 reps, I'd make them do it for 1 rep. Okay. And so they're not technically overloading.
And actually, I would say, kind of based off the whole shooting thing, I've seen it just personally with some of the guys I've played with. When you're working out all season, you're working out all summer. You're shooting, so obviously you're preparing to shoot, and then all of a sudden seasons comes, they quit working out, and their shot just goes down. It actually goes the other way. Yeah. So I don't know if that's also something that you've seen, but it's one thing that I've definitely seen where guys are working out, and it's actually the opposite. They're lifting, but then they stop lifting, and now they're not jumping as high on their jump shot. They're losing a lot of their power. They get tired quicker too.
What I always tell parents is when they go in the weight room in the in-season, they should feel like they hardly did anything at all. Mm-hmm. But yet they should feel like it's almost like a wasted time. And then the coach has to explain, like, no, just trust the process, because it shouldn't feel like they're doing hardly anything, but they are maintaining where they're at through this. So.
Well, I want to close with this, Paul. I'd like to have you, basically, for our viewers that maybe have never heard of Orthopedic Institute Performance or anything about it, just to give you an opportunity or a platform to talk just one last time about what you guys do, what you offer, and where you're located.
Sure. So we're located on 69th and Southeastern Ave. Here in Sioux Falls, we offer basketball right now. Okay, we're in a full basketball mode. We just actually started a large group of kids coming through there for the preseason basketball. Awesome. We are also so that's for our youth, and for our adults, we just started a challenge called Simply Fit. Okay, and that actually just started on Monday, but there's still spots available if anyone's ever interested. But it's just trying to the Simply Fit comes from, we're just trying to make weight loss or whatever their goal is simple. Okay, and because you think of all these nutrition things out there and all these ways that you should be working out, we try to simplify it. Clean out your kitchen. Okay, put the right foods in there. Eat more vegetables. Yeah. Sometimes we make things so difficult.
Like you said, there's so much information out there.
So much information, but basically what it is if you break down all that information, it's really easy. You just got to find a consistent way to do it.
Awesome. So an adult that wants to be a part of your programming, or an athlete right now wanting to join up into the preseason basketball workouts, how do they get registered or involved?
We have a mind-body application that you can find OI Performance on there, or you can give us a call at 605-271-7130.
Perfect. Well, hey, just want to thank everybody for watching today. Really want to thank Paul for coming out and talking about preseason strength training with us for basketball athletes, and talking a little bit more about what the Orthopedic Institute Performance is all about. So we appreciate you taking time this afternoon. And for Sam and Jordan, myself here at Sacred Hoops, we really want to thank everybody for watching again today. So until the next podcast, we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.